Well, hello everybody. I am back and late. Sorry. I need coffee. There's the painting. So, as you join in, you get to see the Jungle Cruise behind me here. And how is everybody today? Well, all your things are coming up in green on my little readout here. Hey, how you doing, Nadia? Coffee good? Yes, I have it in my, there's my beast mug. Yes, my Disney mood mug of the day. And as I slurp away on my coffee and you all join, love the sepia look. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Hi, Donna. Walt. I should put the glasses on, RJ. Oh, hello, everybody. I can see myself. Painting looks great. Thank you. Beast is the best. I love it. Yeah, it's, see if I can get a little more straight on here for the picture. And that actually is the family there, the four of them on the Jungle Cruise. And of course, I took some liberties with moving some of the figures around. The two crocs over here certainly are before you ever get to the elephant pool. And the butterflies much earlier in the attraction. And actually, if you ever wondered, we also did those butterflies. I love doing those. I had to redo them once or twice over the years, and they were hard to get to where they were located. But I love painting butterflies because they're so beautiful. And hi, Chanda. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Hi. And everybody else is just joining. Hi, there's Larry and Donna. Oh, thank you. Love your books. Well, there you go. And I might as well do my commercial first thing. I have other neat things to show you besides the painting. I'm going to leave the painting up for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Everybody that's coming on can see it early on, and probably show it again at the end. But I am going to be working on the squadron painting. I do have another painting that I'm finishing. That, see, isn't that a nice painting? It's only 12 by, let's see, it's 12 by 18, I think it is. And that is a secret. So that will be done. And all three there will be three paintings I'm sending out on Monday. So I have to finish that by tomorrow, that small one. No, that is a robocall. Go away. Do not. Yes, we do have landlines. We've always had landlines, but I do have my phone. And wait, now you all, I said I would tell you, I had you all maybe guessing what my new cover was for my phone. And what is kind of neat actually is that let's see if I can get it right. Yes, the painting I did. So that's on the phone there, but it's the case cover. I love it. That's perfect. My favorite, because I'll never grow up. It's too late. So put the phone aside so I don't spill my beast coffee on it. And okay, yes, our books real quick. If you're new, haven't been on here before, I am RJ Ogren, the artist, and this is our first book, Together in a Dream by Suzanne and RJ. And we wrote alternating chapters. So my chapters go into the attractions, working in the studio behind A Small World, all the practical jokes we pulled, things that happened with the guests, things that disappeared, things that replaced. A lot of funny stories, and I hope interesting. And Suzanne's are just as interesting, and she has some amusing stories too, working as a monorail pilot, then in characters as mostly as Sleepy the Dwarf. dwarf unit. And this is when the dwarf unit and Snow White, this is back in the 70s, went out into the park, into the Magic Kingdom. We only had 7,000 employees back then. But they went out and walked around and greeted guests and took pictures. There were no picture spots that they have now for meet and greets. That didn't exist. And everybody was great. You know, everybody took turns running up to the character and saying hi and hugging them and then getting their picture taken and stuff. It was much more fun for the characters. And they also, of course, did the parades because they all had to be dancers back then. And they also did shows in the forecourt, etc., including commercials. So she has some very interesting stuff to talk about in her chapters. And also, she went into management, entertainment management later on, and then went on to work in the Haunted Mansion and stuff. So this is our second book, which is like the sequel to the first one. And that is actually a picture I took in a couple of years ago when we had our 50th anniversary at Disney World. Why not, of course. And then there is this book. Are you tired yet? See the painting? There's the painting. This one has a whole chapter. Now all three books have chapters about the Haunted Mansion. This one has a long chapter about the Haunted Mansion and what I learned working in blacklight and in the attractions. And also it's about what scares me, real and imagined, from when I was young. And then all the haunted houses I worked on, like at the Queen Mary and stuff, and running into real and imagined ghosts. Then there is my favorite novel written by my favorite person, Suzanne Rowe Ogren. This is a great novel. It's like a modern day fairy tale. It takes place in Lexington, Virginia, where VMI is. We lived for a while after we left Disney. And then it goes to England. So, and I did the cover for this. I did a painting for Suzanne. It hangs in her studio. So highly recommend this book. And if you do get our books and read them, please take the time to go on Amazon and do a review for us, or on Goodreads. We would dearly appreciate it. I'm going to put the books over there, out of the way of my coffee. And so, now, is everybody, let me see what people are saying stuff here. Tina, I'm loving your book. Well, thank you. That's I need that. Yes, so write a review. You have Peter Pan syndrome too. Okay, Tina. Okay, we definitely need to come over and visit you in England. We'll have some fun. Never growing up. Jessica, thank you for sharing your talent and love of Disney with us. I love my Donald painting. Oh, that's nice. I'm glad to hear that. Donald Duck is the very first Disney character I ever drew, and I drew him a lot. And I can remember drawing him when I was like 3 years old. And the first one I did was him getting hit on the head by a baseball, and he had a big bump on his head and stuff. So, and I still draw it to this day. In fourth grade, we had the art teacher. This was actually, I still lived in Illinois then. Moved to Florida when I was going into 8th grade. But I had this great art teacher, and she had us doing masks. So what did I do? Donald Duck. I was the only one in the room that did a mask where the part of it came out, which of course was his beak. His bill, his beak, his bill. Okay, go away. I'm busy with these people here. Oh, it's a call from Aurora. That's where I am.
Call from Aurora Audio.
Aurora. I always love those things when they say that.
Call from Aurora Audio.
The phone can't say Aurora. Aurora. And I got to show you, we had a very good friend come over last evening. She and I are very close, especially, well, we're all very close, but especially with Vietnam. And I won't say her name because she'll then go, why did you say my name? She is a fellow actress. And she got Suzanne and I these pendants, which came from Italy. And isn't that, I don't know if you can see the detailing. Now, in between that silver, and this is beautiful. I actually had it on last night. I was wearing it. I says, I'll wear it. I don't care if guys think I'm girly. Like, yeah, right. But it's really cool. And what's really neat is when this is in really bright light and you go into darkness, it glows green. And that's really cool. And actually, we found out, of course, then that it glows in the black light in my studio. So I keep it in my studio now. And okay, so everybody getting a good look. I'm going to back up. There's the last thing I painted was the elephant. No, actually, the last thing I painted was my name. No, it was the water coming out of the elephant's trunk, in case you were wondering. And I love doing sepia paintings. I actually have done a few over the years. So, and if any of you are interested in a painting, please just message me on Facebook, and I will be happy to discuss it with you and send you information, etc. So let me put my little pendant aside and get this out of the way. This sits on my desk. This is, of course, Peter Pan, which goes with my phone cover now. So that's going to keep playing now. I'm going to paint. Seriously, I am going to paint on something here in a minute. I just want you to see, and this is really a cool mug. And of course, I use it for some of my stuff here on my desk because the lip of this folds in. Very hard to drink out of. You become a slob trying to drink out of that. So I don't drink out of it. Now, and Suzanne is doing another blog this week, so please read her blog. So I think you'll enjoy them immensely at srogren.blogspot.com. And now, most everybody has seen this. Wow. Okay. Hey, thanks, Larry. Yes, the mug is great. Yeah. They don't make too many of them like this. They hardly ever make Disney mugs like this anymore. And we're so glad that we started collecting them way back in the 70s. We have a humongous collection, and we do drink out of them all. Yeah, depending on our mood. Sepia painting. And I'm going to move this off of here. So don't go away. There was no other way to do this. I'll be back. Talk amongst yourselves as I come back with this. And you're all going to go, what? This is the squad room. And I was just putting in some splashes of color to see what I was doing with this background on this. And I am going to paint more of this background. So I wanted to make this sort of look like a 30s type squad room. So I decided to go with the darker reddish brown shades and the wainscoting around here. And if anybody doesn't know what wainscoting is, that's the where you have the chair rail and the wood or color under that down to the floor. It's about 3 feet high in homes, and a chair rail was for that purpose, so chairs wouldn't damage the wall if they were against the wall. And so yeah, that's what I'm going to do here. And crazy week coming up. We are helping our oldest grandson, Alex, who's 22, move down from Wisconsin on Tuesday. And he'll be living not too far from us. Yay, that's cool. Now, this painting, as I've told you all before, and some of you've never been on here before, I use these cups to do acrylic painting with, and especially when I have a large amount of a color, I'm going to use like these shades of raw sienna and burnt umber. I want to make sure I have enough of it, and I will put it in a cup like these. As a matter of fact, I can show you one. There's quite a bit I mixed. That is raw sienna, burnt umber, some cadmium yellow, and white, titanium white. So I'll be using that. And there's the darker shade and a real dark shade. You know, this is mostly raw sienna and burnt umber, and a little bit of cadmium yellow, and no white. So I'm using bigger brushes mostly. Get them over here where I can use them. And going around these figures. This is a trick because I know it looks fairly normal where I'm sitting with this, but I'm actually looking up at the painting. And so what I'm going to do is drop it down a little and tilt. You all just got tilted some more. That's a little better. Yeah, okay. So what I do first is get a base color on, and it's always fun to do a straight line that far away. Well, I'm going to show you something here too, because I'm going to blend some color here in a second. And that line I'm painting across right there, that is the picture rail, which new homes do not have, very rarely. Picture rails were put in homes because paintings were hung. They put a nail, screw, whatever they put on top of the picture rail, and then hang. And so you'd see them in museums like that too. There'd be wires coming down, hanging from the chair or the picture rail, for you to have the painting in its right position, and you didn't damage the wall. Anthony, hey, happy Friday. Yeah, same to you. Lisa, it's a beautiful painting. Thank you. Everybody, just all kinds of people. Tobias, Bill, hey, Bill. So anyway, I put these colors in as a base first, because what will happen with acrylics, it's going to take 2 coats. The first coat, when it dries, it tends to shrink a little bit. Not much. I mean, just it's very minimal. But what happens is little white spots will show up where the painting doesn't quite cover that. A little tiny pinhole size. And so you want to be sure that those are all covered when you go into putting your final coat on. So by putting a first coat on and letting it dry, then coming back and doing your second coat with blending, etc. Now I'm going to blend on this first coat because I want you to see what I'm going to do here. This is, I got to do it while it's wet. And of course, acrylics dries very fast. I'm going to paint over that way. And then I'm going to grab this mix of raw sienna and burnt umber, and I'll straighten this out later. I'm reaching so far to paint this, it's funny. But then you can go back and forth into it, into the corner there, and then coming over here where it's still a little wet, and then blending it down. There. So that you have, if you look at the walls inside a house, the way the light hits them and everything, when you get to corners, one wall will come off and it's darker, usually coming toward you, etc. Yeah, be coming toward you. Interesting fact, when you're painting a building on the outside, actually, when you paint, like say, the front of a building, you get to the corner on one side, you're going down the other side, and it may be in shade, so it's a little bit darker, but you actually would make it even darker on that first edge and blend it like I did here. Now, if you go out and look at buildings on the outside and really pay attention to what you're looking at, you can see that it is a little bit darker as it goes around the corner, and then it lightens up going further back on that dark wall. Did I make myself clear? Because I don't understand what I say. I I watch. Yeah, I've told you, a lot of you, I watch movies uh, while I'm painting, and it's I'm actually watching all the Jurassic Park movies. I watched two of them today. And just before I came on, the reason I was late starting today is Suzanne called me because she was on her way home from the grocery, and I had to run out and help her. So I was carrying way too many things at once to try to get in the house to get on here. Um, but also, I like all kinds of movies. I like La La Land and Notting Hill and Sleepless in Seattle. I like the James Bond. Yeah, I like all kinds of stuff. So yes, I do go to Suzanne and I do go to the movies together. And I picked up another big brush here, a flat brush, just to put that color in. And there's Woody right there. So here's what I'll do now. I'm going to switch brushes to a much smaller brush. I think this is like a number 4. And just paint around Woody right here. I'm not too worried about being precise at the moment. I'll clean all that up when I actually go in and start painting him later. I do the characters last. That's his wings, in case you're wondering what I'm painting around here. And here's the genie. Hello, Genie. Robin Williams loved it. Robin Williams did a great when they had the animation studio at the MGM Hollywood Studios before Eisner came in and got rid of the animation studios. Anyway, the animation studios there, they had a great video that was done by Robin Williams, and as you went along and saw the artists working down below and everything, he had different parts he was talking about in animation. And one of my favorite things he did, he suddenly became one of the lost boys on the ship, and it got real dark, and it was foreboding, and he says foreboding. Anyway, so a little bit around. Obviously, this is the reason I have to keep these colors in these containers, because when I get into painting these figures, if I make any corrections or anything, and I do paint, say I get a little bit of paint on this back wall or any surface behind them, I have to be able to touch it up. And it's kind of hard to mix the color again. These aren't obviously like oil paints that will stay wet for a long time. And I see I painted over the picture right there. I will fix that as soon as I paint around his little top knot in his ear. Okay. Oops. Do it right up here. If I had a cameraman like Bob Ross, I'm wearing my Bob Ross shirt today, see, because Bob and I used to do stuff together. Put that down. chair rail, oh, wait a minute, brush, the chair rail is going to be more of this reddish brown. So the woodwork up here, so, so when I go off off the air, I'll go back in and clean up my lines because I'm reaching. Okay. Uh, Everybody watching the Olympics? We're trying to. We tape them so we can go through most of the commercials, not have to watch all the commercials. But we didn't realize because we wanted to see Michaela win her gold. We watched prime time, had it taping, even extended it, and of course, all of a sudden the news comes on. We're like, what? They said it was coming up. She was getting ready to go, and then the news came on. Then we realized we had to have the, what was it, Ultra Prime or whatever? It's a half an hour show after the news at night. So anyway, NBC does some weird things. Okay, all right, yeah. So that's the picture rail, and then the um, chair rail, which is here. It comes all the way across. Now, for those of you who are wondering what this painting is about, this is for somebody who's local here in Chicago area and just retired as the police chief, which is Mickey in this painting. And then all these other characters. In fact, he started out as a dispatcher. So we've got Stitch with all the phones in his hands and going crazy back here. And then it's the different things he had, like he was a patrolman, was Pinocchio here, detective, it's Goofy. Um, of course, Mickey is the chief. I think Woody is the sergeant, and I don't remember the other two. So all of them will be in a different police uniform, and this good fun painting. Now I'm going to leave a little bit of a white line between these colors here because the wainscoting, which is from the chair rail to the floor, is the same color. I will make it look like wood as I finish it. It's like I'm doing a sepia painting. Don't worry, Chris. It's not sepia. It's just the background. Um, and I see what that is. It's one of the phone cords that Stitch has. There's the rest of the chair rail. Let's paint right over that for the moment. And let's see, there's a phone there by Stitch. And of course, the phones he's got are all regular old phones. So a lot of you know that we do a lot of theater. And actually, it was a few years ago. I forgot what the play was we were doing, but we had a young person in the show, and when we first brought out the props to be used, we had a dial phone, and she didn't know how to work it. It wasn't her fault; she'd never seen one. So that was days gone by. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. I'll answer some questions here real quick. Put my brush aside so I don't get paint in my coffee cup. Hey. Um, I'm so late. Did I miss the unveiling of Jungle Cruise? Sarah, hold on a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on, Sarah. Just don't. There you go. Try to get it in the frame here. Ta-da! Yes, I had it on for the first 15 or 20 minutes so everybody could see it. And of course, Sarah saw I sent her a still photo of that. And let's see. Anthony, what color paint would you say is your most used throughout all of your years of painting? Titanium white. Go through a lot of that. I think followed by that would be the burn umber, maybe some of the greens. Definitely cerulean blue, because I do a lot of things with sky colors. And so, yeah, titanium white. Do you ever, Tina, do you ever beat the devil out of your brushes? That's bad brush, bad brush. I try to be gentle with them so I can use them again. But I do have a pot that I clean the brushes. You got to see this pot. There's one of the brushes in there right now. There is water sitting there. Ooh, dirty. Yeah. Anybody want a drink? Want an apple, Deary? No. This pot I made in college when I was studying art education. I had to take a ceramics course. I never could get good on the potter's wheel. And so this was the only pot that survived, and I used it for cleaning brushes, and it's real thick. This thing is like a half an inch thick. I didn't get an A. This pot, which I've shown some people think is a mug, this, wait a minute, here, mug. It would be fun to have coffee on. But this is what I put my brushes in. And our good friends, Holly and Rick Hill, Louisville, got this for me because it's actually a ceramic paint bucket. You can see there's the handle. So and it had the blue paint dripping down in 3D. So I added my Mickey, and there you are. That's what I use. Gail, I missed it too. Gail, did you just see it when I just put it up? I'm going to keep up with the thing. Oh, I love the Jungle Cruise. Yes. Oh, thank you. That's great. And I almost grabbed a cup of paint to take a drink. Huh, that would have been good. Oh, I got to show you something else. Talk amongst yourself for a minute. I'm going to drink some coffee. Wait a minute. This is. I've done portraits over the years, and the first portrait I ever did in acrylics. I was an oil painter when I was in college. I painted in oils, and the first year I got out of college, I was painting oils. But in 1973, the 1 year I taught in school, the woman at the front office sent somebody down to get me in the art class because she wanted to ask me a question. So I went down to see her. It turned out she was friends with the woman who was the head of marketing and publicity at one of the big hotels in Miami Beach. This was back when Miami Beach was all the huge hotels. South Beach was just retirement. The hotels that were there were just all white, and nobody went down there and everything. South Beach sprouted in the late 80s, especially with Miami Vice, with a lot of filming down in that area. And by the way, Suzanne and I wrote a teleplay for one of the episodes. That's another story. They did do it, but they murdered it. That's what they were doing. And the producer actually stole it from us. I told you it was another story. But anyway, and so we were on set actually on Miami Vice, which was a lot of fun. But anyway, back to this painting. This first big portrait. Up to that time, I had only done a couple of portraits. Um, and But she knew I could paint, so they were looking for somebody to do a portrait of the person who was appearing at the big hotel on one of the big hotels on the beach. And I said, sure, I can do that. And I said, when do they want it? And they want it like in about 4 days. Can't paint it in oils. So I said, sure. I never say no to anything. If somebody asked me if I can do something. So I said yes. And then I went home to Susie and I said, I must be nuts. I don't know how to paint acrylics. But I figured it out. And I actually, before I painted, I went to the hotel to meet this marketing person and worked everything out. And of course, they paid me to do it. And it was a surprise and gift for opening night, which we were invited to. Excuse me. And painting, thank God, came out great. And this woman loved it. And see if you can see this. And there we are. That's Liza Minelli, getting some reflection there. And that's when she was dating Desi Arnaz Jr. This actually is, let me take it off. That's the invitation we got. And this was at the press party after the show. And Suzanne there, actually Suzanne is pregnant with our daughter at that time. No, let's see, right? No, our son. She was pregnant with our son. I don't know. Anyway, they're going to get me for that. But let's see, this is 73. It had to be our son. So anyway, yeah, there we are. And Liza was just fantastic because I met her before I started the painting, and she didn't realize I was just. They just thought I was a fan, but I wanted to see her eye color and other things. She kind of looked at me strange a couple of times, caught me staring at her. Also there because just the year previous, I believe, she and Joel Grey had won Academy Awards for Cabaret, and Joel Grey was there for opening night. And we, yeah, it was great. None of us know who that lady is. She went around posing for pictures for the press people. Just she walked away, and Joel says, "Do you know her?" I just, not a clue. So anyway, and in rapid succession over the next few months, because of that, I got a commission to paint John Davidson, who we're still friends with, and also Sonny and Cher. And it was Sonny and Cher and their daughter. And the person who took the picture aimed too high, didn't even get the painting in the picture. So you can see it's not a great picture. So that was my portrait work. Hey, I did one for Gloria Swanson, which is in the Gloria Swanson collection. One of only 3 portraits she ever kept. And that is at the University of Texas in Austin. And the Gloria Swanson. Gloria Swanson started in the silent pictures, and she was most famous for Sunset Boulevard. There you go. Neat, tough lady. Liked her a lot. Now, anybody have any questions here real quick? Jungle Cruise picture looks great. Thank you. Do you have the placemat with Susie on dressed in character? Yes. Actually, we do have the placemats. I'm not going to, I'll try to remember to get that for next week. We have placemats. A lot of the stuff you saw of Suzanne, of the dwarfs in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s. Actually, they sold them all the way into the 90s. Pictures of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs on the grass, castle behind them. You can see the water reflection. That's Suzanne as Sleepy in that. And there was another one of her with a bunch of characters sitting on the grass also that they sold for years. And she's on the placemat that was put out. And we still have those. Crazy. Okay. And I hope I didn't miss any other questions. So anyway, I'm going to, my brushes are probably drying up here. I'm going to put my big brushes in the water and come back. And if you join late, you want to go back and watch. I showed how I blended this two colors. We got to the corner of the wall, and then the wall's coming out this way. One of the things they do not teach enough of in art in schools is perspective. And if you can't do perspective, you're going to have a real tough time trying to do do a lot of different paintings and even graphic work on the computer if you don't understand how perspective works. I know my students kept saying, Mr. Ogren, we're tired of doing perspective drawings. And I went, you'll thank me in the end. So, I don't know. I'm blending the darker shade of burnt umber and raw sienna that I mixed earlier into what I just did here. And I'm, of course, using a smaller brush. If you're wondering what's outside the window, there are 3 squad cars. And the squad cars are the sheriff, they're all from Cars. The sheriff in the middle, McQueen back here, and he will be a squad car. And this is Herbie, the love bug, will be a squad car. This painting has some really neat elements to it, which make it a lot of fun to paint. Just like the Jungle Cruise sepia painting. Like I said, I really loved it. And right now it looks like I'm doing another sepia painting. Okay, right back here is behind Woody's neck. Part of the wall. And if you're wondering why there's some other lines there, if you weren't with me last week, actually I had laid this out from a sketch I had done and then transferred it onto here. And I forgot that Chris and I had talked about reversing the position of Woody and Mickey. So Mickey, you can see it here. Mickey was over here and Woody was here. Now they're not. Okay, now I'm going to go to the color I'm using for the coating. Now here's an interesting thing. See, this turns the corner right here. So I'm going to again use the much darker color on the wainscoting coming away from that corner and coming down into here. Now this is only my first coat, so I'll have to paint over this a second time what I'm doing because it needs to have a first coat on it and drying. So now I can come down here. I have a thick baseboard. So we love about old houses. The house we're in was built in 1902. We have baseboards that are about 10 inches high. I'm looking into the dining room to look at it. And the house we had in Virginia for 10 years before we moved back to Aurora, Illinois, my hometown, which I moved away from when I was 13 down to Florida. But the house we had for 10 years in Virginia, where Suzanne's novel Ribbons takes place, and where VMI is, Virginia Military Institute, and Washington and Lee University. I forgot what I was saying. Just ignore that guy. Oh yeah, we had a house there that was huge. It was built in 1895. We have a picture of it from 1895 with the family that built it sitting on the front steps. The father, the mother, and you ready for this? The daughter, who was in her early 20s at the time of the picture, and she was an artist, and so that was pretty cool. And actually, she was our resident ghost. We started seeing her in the house because she died in the house. But anyway, but it had, again, it was built in 1895, so it had big, heavy, wide baseboards, chair rail, crown molding, which you won't see in this one, is up at the top of the ceiling, and actually the chair rail, I didn't lay it out. I've got to lay it out. It goes off at this angle too. It comes over to here, and right back in here, because Jessica Rabbit's in the jail cell, and Pluto and Pinocchio are trying to get the crazy Mickey into the cell. So these will be bars of the cell here and everything. And so that's what's going on over here. That's the jail, in case you were wondering. If you weren't, I'm going to tell you anyway. So there. Oh, Suzanne and our son Sean, of course, Suzanne is the main director on the next Shakespeare play we're doing. And they had auditions this week, and they cast the show. If you were watching my show last week, I broke down because I didn't get the show. Hold on. I'm okay. I'm okay. No, I didn't want to be in this one. I was in Hamlet and had a ball being in Hamlet, but I'm too busy right at the moment. As it is, I'm doing the set for the show, so that's when I turn my head real fast, you get I look like a superhero. Zipping right by. Okay, painting around Woody's arm here. And Stitch is back here on top of the desk as the dispatcher. He's got a phone in each hand and wires going all over the place and phones everywhere. So I want it. There you go. And this is the baseboard down here. I'm just going to leave a little bit of a white line there for right now so I can see what I laid out. I have to be careful. I get relaxed and then I start getting real quiet. Susie, I'll be sitting next to Susie and I'll say something. She'll go, "What?" And I thought, oh, she's losing her hearing. No, it's me. Surprisingly, you'd think being an actor, I would always be much louder, but I'm not. I get very quiet when I'm talking. So if you think I've gone to sleep, I haven't. I'm still here. I drank all my coffee. Oh, no, wait, there's still some. Everybody, did you see my mug earlier? If you didn't, there it is. He goes from happy to perplexed to angry. Okay. So, yeah, this side, talking about perspective, see, this comes down at a very sharp angle. My vanishing point actually is right here. So everything's based off of that. I did have this originally so that this wall came across and then it stepped back where the desk was here. And it was just getting too, it's hard to explain, but this section of wall on the return was getting too narrow and just wasn't going to read the way I wanted. So I said back with it. Just made it all one length. And I'm sticking my brush in the water. Don't go away. Oh, let's see. Oh, Tina, do you have the? Oh, that's you already asked that. No, the placement. I'm sorry. Hi, Tina. The painting is so creative and cool. Thank you. The law enforcement elements and Disney characters, I'm sure will be a hit with the recipient. He's a lucky feller. Yes, he is. He's really a nice guy. We've become actually very good friends with him. Looking forward to meeting his family. He lives in the Chicago area. Tina, your flipping phone died. You lost 5 minutes of me. I'm sorry. I knew it happened, so actually you didn't lose anything. I just stopped talking for 5 minutes. What? All right, I'm gonna go up here and let's do a little bit around Woody here so you can see. That's not Woody. Ah, I've been under a lot of pressure. No, I haven't. Yeah, so they cast the show of Much Ado About Nothing. A great cast. If you live in the Chicago area at all, you might want to come see the show, which will be in, I believe, the first 2 weeks of May. I'm going to put it on our website, and I'll be announcing the show on Facebook too. Yeah, there's Woody. Okay. I did it again. Woody is over here. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to paint around Woody's hat. I switched to a really small brush to do this just so I could get in some of the little spots here so you could see a little bit more of what's going on. Now, when I was talking about doing those portraits, a very funny thing happened when I was doing one for John Davidson, the singer actor who was still performing, was on Broadway about 4 or 5 years ago again. Did a lot of stuff on TV, incredible talent. And anyway, his brother, when he was appearing on the beach, right after I did the portrait for Liza Minelli, found out about it. And John was appearing at another big hotel just down the street on Miami Beach. And he contacted me and wanted me to do a portrait for John as a surprise. And that was great. Again, short term. Actually, John was appearing for four weeks, and he kept having us come back and gave us front seats to watch a show. And Suzanne's parents got to come and sit with us, and he was great. But and the night we had the painting there for him, we saw the show, but we gave him the painting before, and then after the show, he had us come up to his room with him and his wife, and that was very nice, very sweet. And then, and if you, some of you still don't know, if you know the movie, the last movie that was being made when Walt died, anybody know what it is? It was The Happiest Millionaire. And that Happiest Millionaire is a great movie. It's great music, and it's based on a true story. That it's based. It's not totally accurate the way they did it, but it is a great movie with a great cast. And that was John Davidson's debut on film. And he then went on to do another film right after that called The One and Only Genuine Original Family Band, which is also based on a true story. And it's great music. So that's how we knew John to start with. And then some years later, when, in fact, it was after I stopped working at the Walt Disney World, but Suzanne was still working there. And John was appearing on property at one of the hotels at Disney. This was like back in the 80s, I believe. And John was, yes, because it was already the MGM Hollywood Studios were open by that time. And not long after they opened. And they had the Hollywood Bowl, right, when they would have guests appear there and perform and everything. And so during the day, John was coming out and 2 or 3 times a day to perform and talk to all the guests. And the place was packed every time. So we went, and we didn't tell John we were coming, and we hadn't seen him actually in years. And we were right down in the front. John came out and greeting everybody. And he's getting ready to sing. He stops. He looks at me and went, "RJ?" I said, "Hi, John." Susie? then he told everybody, he says, yes, I still have the portrait. He said, it's actually hanging, you like this, in my yacht. Must be nice, huh? I don't think he has the yacht anymore. I don't know. So, okay, I'm just, yeah, there we go. Brush away. We're down to the last few minutes here. Let me see what else. Rich life seems to be filled to the brim with art, literature, movies, painting, theater. What kind of music is your favorite? That's a great question. I never get asked that. Favorite music. Well, the neat thing is, and you're going to, again, to give away my age, which is 32. Uh, Suzanne and I did not know each other. I was still in Illinois in 56, 57 that year, going in seventh grade. Of course, this is when Elvis hit big and rock and roll hit big. So we grew up with rock and roll. And then that in 57, and the end of the summer, my family, we moved down to Miami Beach. Suzanne and I met in high school in theater, doing shows. Actually, with a couple of our friends that we graduated with in our drama class, went on to Hollywood careers. And so, yeah, we grew up with rock and roll. So obviously, we love rock and roll. Still like a lot of the current music that's being done. Very open to all kinds of music. We like country. We don't listen to it all the time, but we do like country. We like jazz. We like jazz if I like jazz that I can hear a melody. I don't like the very progressive jazz. We also like to hear orchestral pieces. So we like going to see the orchestra perform. So yeah, we like just about everything. We like some rap. I have a few of my favorite songs are rap songs. So we're all over the place. And one of the neat things, this is really cool, because when in those years, until we started getting the internet and everything else going on, and you didn't have, the first thing we had was a Walkman. That was in the 80s, wasn't it? Late 70s, 80s. But yeah, I think it was in the 80s. But you listened to the radio station and you had the really great DJs, and they introduced the songs. They told you about the singers. It was really, really a cool time to have all that. So all the Beatles music, when it came on, they'd release an album, and the radio disc jockeys would play the entire album, which was unheard of. They always played singles, but the Beatles came out and they played the whole album. And so it was exciting to have all that happening and grow up with it. And we're big Beatles fans, very big Beatles fans. Yeah, we like just about all kinds of music. Modern singers, now I like Sarah Bareilles. I like her stuff a lot. And now I can't think of names. I do that. I go to say names and I go, oh, wait a minute, I know I can see them in my head, but I can't think of their names. But there are a lot of people we like. So that was a long answer to a question, wasn't it? So, oh gosh. And see, some of you others just joined. You have to go back and look. I showed all kinds of stuff, including pictures of some famous people I did portraits for. Well, you get to see my mug, but there's nothing in it anymore. I'll have to go get one last cup of coffee. And you can see the painting I'm doing here, which is a squad room, and it's all the different characters are portraying this retired police chief in the different jobs he had, from starting out as a dispatcher, going through patrolman, detective, sergeant. Mickey is the chief of police. So and Stitch is back here as a dispatcher with all the phones. And I will show, don't go away. For those of you who just joined, I will show this painting one more time. And that is the sepia painting I just finished of the Jungle Cruise. And I took liberties with where I placed things. Actually, I worked on those figures when I was working at Disney. And we had our studio behind Small World. And there's a picture of me actually painting the crocodile next to the tree. So it's right behind the crocodile in the foreground. And I took liberties with moving the figures around in the attraction here to make this painting. So on that note, I'm back. I have this chair, so I can just float across. Grow up, RJ. No, not going to happen. And for those of you who didn't get to see it, I'm going to show you my new phone cover came from my new phone. Wouldn't you know? Peter Pan. Cool. I love that. Oh, there's a chocolate chip cookie I didn't eat. So, more craziness. Okay, Tina, come to the UK and we will take you to Liverpool. Oh, I would love that. Home of the Beatles. It's only an hour away from. Oh, that would be fantastic. We've been to England 4 times. We love England. We actually stayed with people who became very good friends. We had a cottage in Amersham. It's about 30 miles northwest of London. So, great times. Love England. Cindy, turned out great. Thank you. Love your new phone cover. Thank you, Val. I think it's great. I got to tell, I'm sorry I had to do this. This came from China. You couldn't get one here in the States. I think everything's made in China now. I think I'm made in China sometimes. I don't know. What does that mean? I don't know that either. Now I'm rambling, which must mean it's time for me to say goodbye. See, I have my Bob Ross here. Bob Ross and I are going to say, have a great weekend. I will see you next week with some more craziness. And actually, I probably will be working on this. I also have to, while I'm working on this week, I have to do another stretch room painting. I have a gentleman coming from Los Angeles to Chicago. Works up for Amtrak, and he comes like every couple of weeks. He makes this trip. So we're going to meet him when the Amtrak comes in to Chicago, and he'll take the painting back to LA. So probably I'll be working on this, so there'll be a lot more done on it, more colors. So we'll see you next week, everybody. Have a great one. Anybody else? Thanks for all the smiles. I never smile. Come on. On that note, everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.